You know that fantasy we all have sometimes where we burn it all down, move to the beach, and start over the right way? Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot for 2026 because if I had to start my business from scratch today, no list, no audience, no offers, just the skills I have and the brain I have, I would not rebuild it the same way I started building it in 2016. The online space has changed. Launches have changed, people have changed, and so in this episode, I'm going to walk you through exactly what I do differently if I had to start over again in 2026. So you can steal the shortcuts without the burning your business to the ground bit. See you in the episode. Hello, my friend. It's lovely for me to be here with you in episode number 331 of the Launch Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Salome Shellac. If you're new here and around here, we are building freedom empires, businesses that are profitable, sustainable, and feel really freaking good to run. We're in this special series all about getting you set up for a profitable and joyful 2026. And today's episode is a juicy one because it comes from a question that I have been asking myself a lot lately. What if I had to start over again? What would I do differently now, knowing what I know, with the market we're in going into 2026? And I want you to imagine this with me. You wake up tomorrow morning, no email list, no Instagram followers, no offers, no students, no funnels. But you get to keep all the skills you've built, all the lessons you've paid for in sweat, tears, and money, and the same big vision for your life and your business. What do you do first? Today I'm going to share the exact moves I'd make in my first 6 to 12 months if I was starting again in 2026. And how that's different from what I actually did first time round. My hope is that you don't have to start over. Instead, that you can course correct your business that you already have. So grab a notebook or just mentally take some notes while you're out walking the dog. And let's play this out together. A quick note before we dive in. This is not an episode about blowing up your business and starting from zero. Please don't message me saying, Salome, I burnt it all down after I listened to this episode. No, my love. Put the matchbox down. This is about seeing clearly what actually matters in today's market. Cutting out the stuff that's making things harder. And then asking, how can I apply this start over wisdom to what I already have? Okay? Cool. Let's go. You know I love a few steps or a formula, so I've got some pillars. And pillar number 1 for this episode is to get painfully, and emphasis on painfully specific about who I help with what. I remember this day like it was yesterday. The year was 2015, and our family was on vacation in Bali. I was sitting on the patio of our room while torrential rain was bucketing down, and I love that about Bali. It's hot and humid and sticky, and there's just massive rain falling loudly. It's my favorite thing. I was sitting outside and I had bought yet another online course to learn how to nail this thing called online marketing. And of course, the course started with identify your ideal customer. I remember sitting on that patio and feeling like my hope just sank into my feet because I was like, not this ideal customer shit again. Why do we keep coming back to this? I thought I'd already identified my ideal customer. I thought, yeah, she's a middle-aged woman who drives an SUV and shops at Target. But today, I know it's because I lacked clarity on the problem I solved for her that I had such a hard time wrapping my head around this ideal customer thing. Today, it's a whole different story for me. And today, I'm not afraid to push my students hard, really hard, to nail this ideal customer of theirs. Because I know it's lack of clarity in this area that leads to wasted money in ads. And launches with mediocre results always start with lack of clarity on who your ideal customer is. If I had to start over in 2026, the very first thing I do is get ridiculously specific about who I help and what the problem is that I solve. The mistake I made in the early years, I tried to help online business owners, course creators, coaches, sometimes anyone who wants Facebook ads, all at the same time. And the trap is, it worked enough to keep me going, but it slowed everything down. My messaging, my content, my offers, my sales. If I was starting fresh in 2026, I would sit down and answer 2 questions. And I want you to answer these with me. First question: who is the one person I can help best right now? Not women in business, not moms. Something like course creators who've launched at least once, made some sales but can't get consistent revenue. Hyper specific. Or mums of toddlers who are ready to ditch the baby weight. Or women in their late 20s looking for Mr. Right. Or crafters who have mastered selling at craft shows and are ready to sell online. See the specificity? Second question: what is the one painful, measurable problem I solve? Not build a life you love. Only Marie Forleo gets away with that one. But go from launch roller coaster to consistent monthly sales using one simple marketing system? Yeah, better. It's not. Feel inspired to paint? It is. Get your first acrylic painting done before Christmas. Yes. Not. Lose weight and feel more energized. Instead, lose 5 kilos in 30 days without ditching snacking. I would give myself permission to be narrower than I'm comfortable with and specific in how I describe it. Because in 2026, vague doesn't sell. Clear sells. If you're listening and you can't say in one sentence, I help very specific person do very specific result with very specific outcome, and you get bonus points if you can add a very specific method to it. If you can't say that, this is your first start over opportunity. You don't need a new business. You just need a sharper sentence that calls her out like a dog whistle. And that's pillar number 1. Pillar number 2, the second thing I do differently in 2026, I would treat list building like a full-time job from day 1. One of my biggest regrets is how long I spent obsessing over launches and offers and sales goals, while my email list was this neglected little pot plant in the corner. If I'm starting over in 2026, I'm doing it the opposite way around. Step 1, create an insanely useful lead magnet that solves a real and specific problem. Bonus points if you can add a low-dollar offer to that first email sequence and sell something to them in the first 7 days. Step 2, build an ecosystem to grow that list every single week. Step 3, I'd email my list consistently, even when I'm not launching, especially when I'm not launching. What does that look like practically? If it was me, I'd create a flagship freebie that's deeply aligned with my paid offer. I would choose one primary content platform where I show up every week. Maybe it's podcasting, maybe it's YouTube, or a social media platform with a bit of teeth to it. Instagram's not enough. Everything I create would point people to that one opt-in. And one more. 7 half-finished lead magnets that's sitting in your Google Drive, the complicated quiz funnel, the random PDFs you forgot to promote. No, scrap it all. Just get one front door, just one. And then I would get really, 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 really good at inviting people through that door. That lead magnet is your front door. So here's a quick action for you. Ask yourself, if I had to start over in 2026, what would my one list building focus be? Is it a workshop, a mini training, a juicy checklist, a quiz? Pick one. That's your start over move without starting over. If you want 2026 to be your most profitable and joyful year in business, listen up. I've opened up a handful of spots for one-on-one mentoring with me, where we'll use my deep scaling framework to figure out exactly why your customers aren't buying like they used to, stop your ad costs from eating your profit, get AI working for you instead of burying you in more content and to-dos, and clean up your funnels and data so you always know what's working and what to do next. This is for you if you're already selling your course, but you're stuck in that revenue roller coaster, working harder and harder without seeing it in your bank account. Inside Mentoring, it's you, me, and my AI system built from over 7 years of knowledge in launching and scaling courses with ads. We're going deep on your offers, your messaging, your funnels, and your numbers so you can scale wider by going deeper, not by burning yourself out with more. You also get instant access to our brand new course, Scale with Ads, valued at $5,000. If you want my brain in your business in 2026, head to thelaunchlounge.com/mentorme. That's mentor me. thelaunchlounge.com/mentorme, or just click the link in the show notes and fill out the short application. I keep this super high touch, so spots are very limited. All right, let's get back to the episode. Pillar number 3, build one simple evergreen funnel first. My third change for 2026, and I'll let you in on a little secret here. There is something I'm actually working on in 2026, and that is creating more evergreen offers. So this is not just what I'd do if I was starting over. This is also 10 years in, what I'm going to do in 2026. I would not rush into giant, exhausting live launches as my primary promotional strategy. You know the whole one more launch will save me feeling that we spoke about in the previous episode? Yeah, we talked about that on Thursday. So if you can relate to that semi-desperate feeling of needing just one more launch, go listen to episode number 330 next. If I'm starting again, I'm building one simple evergreen funnel first, and then using live launches as a bonus. What does that look like? One core offer, one clear sales mechanism, maybe an evergreen webinar, maybe a video series, maybe a sales email sequence. One main path from find you to join your list, to hear from you regularly, to buy. Once that works a little bit, it might sell one spot a week or one spot a month. It doesn't have to be perfect. But it gives you baseline revenue and data. And then, and only then, do I start playing with big live launches, bonuses, special promotions. The mistake that I made, I built the big complex launch machine first. And then I tried to retrofit Evergreen after I was already exhausted. So if I had to start over in 2026, I'd flip that. evergreen foundations first, and then live launches to accelerate, not to rescue. So ask yourself, do I have at least one simple, always on way that new people can find me, join my list, and see my offer? If the answer is no, then that's the spot where you start over. Not into a new offer, not into another big launch, into building one clean path from stranger to buyer. That's pillar 3. Pillar 4, use paid traffic earlier, but use it like a calculator. So let's talk about ads for a second, because of course we're talking about ads when you're hanging out here. If I had to start again in 2026, I would begin experimenting with small strategic ad spend a lot earlier. In the early days, I either waited too long to run ads or went all in during launches without fully understanding my numbers. In 2026, with the market the way it is, I'd do it differently. I'd get my basic funnel math clear, even if it's just estimates. Something like, if I pay $5 per lead and 1 in every 50 people buy a $500 offer, does that work? Not perfectly, but maybe enough to taste. I'd start low. I'd start with a boring daily budget and think maybe $5 to $20 a day to grow my list, not $5,000 dumped into a launch out of panic. I'd used ads first to feed my list building ecosystem. Remember that one flagship lead magnet? My ads would point there all day, every day. And I'd keep testing until I have one list building campaign that works well enough. Not viral, not magical, just steady leads at a price I can afford to people who are actually a good fit. Then, when I later do a live launch or a promotion, I'm not starting from zero. I'm inviting a warm, growing list into something special. If you're already running ads, ask yourself, if I had to start over with ads in 2026, how would I simplify this? Could you cut 5 campaigns and keep 1? Could you put more budget behind the thing that's actually growing your list? Could you stop, for Pete's sakes, boosting random posts and instead focus on one clean list building campaign? This is your start over without burning it all down. And that's pillar number 4. I'd start running ads earlier. Pillar number 5, I'd build support and systems much earlier. The last big thing I would do differently if I had to start again in 2026, I wouldn't wait so long to get support. And I would build simple systems from the start. My early business model was, Salome does everything, fueled by coffee, panic, and Google Docs. I told myself, I'll hire help when I'm making more money. And once I did hire help, I hired way too many people too fast, and my systems didn't hold up. I thought, I'll build systems when I have time. Turns out, the longer, better game plan is to hire slow, create the systems, then hire more people, then create those systems to support the people, and rinse and repeat. Spoiler, I was too busy making systems because I didn't have systems. If I'm starting again, I would choose the simplest possible way to deliver my offer. One platform, one place where everything lives. No tech circus. I'd get tiny, boring, predictable help earlier. Doesn't have to be a full-time employee. Maybe a VA for 5 hours a week to upload replays, schedule emails, update landing pages so my brain can stay on strategy, clients, and content. I'd create good enough SOPs as I go. Every time I do something twice, I'd hit record on Loom and dump it in a folder. Not fancy, but repeatable. And I would keep them organized from day one. All my ADHD friends out there with a million different SOPs saved in 100 different spots, I know who you are. And they never get used because no one can remember where to find them. Yeah, none of that. I'd protect my calendar from day one. Boundaries on. How many calls can I take? When am I available? When am I off? The reason this matters so much in 2026, because the real bottleneck in your business is almost never the algorithm or the offer or the funnel. It's your capacity. And if I had to start again, I'd build a business that protects my capacity from the beginning so I can actually enjoy the money I make. So ask yourself, where am I still trying to be the hero who does everything alone? If you had to start over with the support you need, what would you stop doing? What would you delegate? What could you simplify? Circle one of those and make that your next move. If I had to start over again and rebuild my business from scratch in 2026, here's what I'd do differently. I would get painfully specific about who I help and what the problem is I solve. I would make list building my full-time job instead of only thinking about it when I need to launch. I would build one simple evergreen funnel before I rely on big live launches. I would use paid traffic earlier, but smarter, treating ads like a calculator, not like a casino. I would build support and systems in a simple way much sooner, so I'm not stuck being the entire business forever. You do not have to wipe the slate clean to use this. You can ask, if I was starting over this business in 2026, what would I keep? What would I cut? And what would I rebuild differently? Maybe it's your niche. Maybe it's your list building or your funnels. Maybe it's your schedule and support. Pick one of these pillars to focus on over the next 30 days. That's how you start from zero without starting from zero. If this episode lit something up inside you and you're thinking, okay, Salome, I'm ready to stop dragging my 2016 business model into 2026, I would love to hear, what are you changing? What are you letting go of? And what your start over move is. Come find me on Instagram. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it on your stories, and tag me at _launch_lounge. And if you haven't yet, go back and listen to the other episodes in this 12-part series we're doing in November and December. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to the show. That's how we reach new listeners. Because this 12-part series is designed to stack all together to help you build your profitable and joyful freedom empire. And coming up this Thursday, we're talking about 3 internal signs that you're ready to scale your business and 3 signs that you're not. So if you're ready to make 2026 your most profitable year to date, you won't want to miss this one. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I am cheering for you as you build your freedom empire and take it into 2026. Can't wait to see you rebuild some of your wobbly house and start building the business you actually want. I'll see you next time. Bye. Before you hit play on the next podcast, I want you to think about something. If nothing changed in your business, would 2026 look any different from 2025? If your answer is, not really, then my mentoring program might be exactly what you need. In my one-on-one mentoring, we spend a few months together diagnosing why your growth has stalled or feels so hard tightening up your offers so they feel irresistible again, fixing your funnels and launch mechanisms so they actually protect your profit, and using AI in a smart, strategic way so you can work less while your marketing works harder. This isn't another course you have to get through. It's you and me, side by side, looking at your real numbers, your real audience, your real offers, and building a plan to make 2026 your most profitable and joyful year yet. Your real Freedom Empire year. You also get access to our brand new course, Scale with Ads, valued at $5,000. If you're an established course creator who's ready for that kind of support, go to thelaunchlounge.com/mentorme. That's mentor me. thelaunchlounge.com/mentorme and fill out the quick application. Tell me about your business, your goals for 2026, and I'll personally review it and let you know if it's a good fit. Again, that's thelaunchlounge.com/mentorme, or just tap the link in the show notes. I cannot wait to see what we create together in 2026.